So, you've had your first interview. Oh boy, was that fun. All right, I don't know how many marks or scoring you got there, but make no mistake, a lot of people do those mistakes, and the reason is we're used to asking questions that interest us. We're used to talk about solutions. And plus, we feel uncomfortable asking customer problem or deeper pain questions because it's not in our nature to harass people, right? But it's not about harassing people. It's about digging deeper to understand what they're really suffering from or what are they willing to do to change that. So for this matter, I'd like to give you the 8 rules, which are the grand rules for a good interview. All right? Let's start. Rule number 1, you need to adopt a beginner's mindset. And this is going to be hard for many of you because we're experts, you see. And the first thing an expert likes to show is how much of an expert he is. And so if you start talking about things that you already know, or in the middle of asking a question, you're putting some of your assumptions and you're not using the layman mindset, you're blocking the possibility of learning something that may surprise you. And a lot of things usually do because we make tons of assumptions when we think about customers. So a fresh pair of ears, I think, is the most important part, and a lot of you will be passing on this rule easy enough because we're not used to doing it. So even if you know something about the industry, about the way things work, try to sit back and hold back and not share those thoughts as you're interviewing people because you're there for them to help you get the best solutions, right? So let's let them help. Second rule. So the second rule is about really complementary to the first rule. Talk less, listen more. Now that sounds really trivial, but I think the main motivation that I'd like to share with you is if you talk more in a 1-hour meeting, and let's say they gave you 16 minutes of their precious time, every minute you talk is a minute less you are able to learn and grab that gold they have. Those golden problems are problems worth solving, right? So you should be selfish and think about your interest of digging, understanding, buying. Okay. Number 3. So number 3 is all about getting facts, and we did have that in our short exercise. Facts, for the most part, are relying deeply in the past and the present. And the future is full of opinions. So whenever you ask about the present or the past, you're going to be getting facts. When was the last time you had this? So tell me about the last time this happened. What or who did you use the last time this and this happened, and so forth. But whenever you'll be asking about, so what do you think is going to happen next year? You're shooting for an opinion. An opinion matters less than evidence. Somebody could tell you this on Sunday, and a month later, that opinion's gone. Remember that. Rule number 4 is all about asking one single word that needs to be added to a lot of our questions, and the word is why. Why to get the real motivations and jobs to be done of people. Why did you do this? What's your biggest pain? Why? What's your biggest job to be done? What are you actually finding that's really challenging and difficult in your everyday routine? But why? Why are you finding that is so challenging? And when you're asking why a few times over, people will start, and you'll notice that, people will start pausing for thinking. And they will not give you that instinct of an answer that they usually give, but start digging deeper into their self-thinking, self-recognition of, hey, is it really a problem? Hey, is it really a pain? Interesting. Rule number 5. So rule number 5 has to do with the goal of customer interview is not about selling something. It's about exploring and learning. Although selling may be involved. So during some of our customer interviews at Model Z, we find that customers at a certain point start realizing that the problems they have really need a solution. And then they start asking us, but wait a minute, you could really help me. You're good at this. How could you help me? And that's a big bait thrown at you. If you're smart enough, you won't chew on that. And you won't actually grab it and say, okay, let's turn the table and let me tell you about our solution. But rather say, okay, we could help probably, but hold on for this just another moment. And let me ask you a few more questions, okay? Because those 60 minutes are very precious. Now, the next rule is interesting because it talks about not offering solutions too early in the game. Again, the purpose here is not to mention solutions if you don't have to. And sometimes customers will mention solutions. But if customers design the solution for you, it means they really went through a process of thinking. And that's not enough for you. You can't get out of a customer interview with a recipe of what do you need to build. You need to challenge what they're saying by asking, but why this? But why this first? Why this feature first? And this will bring you the understanding of their motivations. Rule number 7 has to do with following up. So we need to follow up on each of those interviews, and customers that are early evangelists would be the first to say, when are we going to meet next? So always leave the door open and ask for other questions, such as, who should we meet with as well? Always leave the door open is rule number 8, because customers or people that have certain jobs to be done in certain situations seem to know other people that have the same jobs to be done in similar situations. Ask for other references. That's important. And customers will introduce you to other customers. So are we set on these 8 rules? Well, theory is a good thing, but it's going to be a little more challenging to implement those. I'll see you when we talk about the interview and the questions